Thank you, Mr. Speaker. By bringing this bill forward, to allow this bill forward, what it means is that people, families living in the Puget Sound region who struggle already with the high cost of living, with the high costs of rent and housing, and with the high costs of their transportation, this means that these families will pay substantially more over time on their utility bills, and that will be increasing forever forward. Representatives of this utility testified in our committee that 48% of their residential customers were energy burdened, meaning that a good portion of their monthly income goes to pay their utility bill, and they are energy burdened by definition, by law, and they're receiving assistance. When I heard that number, I thought in my head, what's the tipping point, Mr. Speaker? What's the tipping point? Is it 51%? Is it 60%? And the money that goes to pay for that excess utility bill is shifted. It's shifted to other residences who are a little better off, but it's also shifted to commercial and industry. And it creates an inflationary cycle that will continually cycle forward like on its own momentum. Mr. Speaker, many of the people that are in that utility have redundancy in their energy systems that keeps their utility bills lower. It also provides security in those homes. And people that live in this utility district also enjoy amenities that they don't particularly want to lose. It makes their homes comfortable, it makes their meals tasty, and it provides an extra layer of security in case of a power failure. And this is important when you live in a northern climate, even if it is somewhat temperate in the Puget Sound region. It's important to have redundancy. What if you're a caregiver for an elderly person? What if you're a person that just needs that extra level of security? And I think it's good, prudent judgment on the point of homeowners. But more importantly, this bill, it intends to force a premature decommissioning of the existing infrastructure, and that will limit people's choice beyond the point that we fought for changing. And hopefully, when this bill moves across to the other side, I would like to suggest that these are the elements of this bill that are in desperate need for changing. We need to change that systematic decommissioning of existing infrastructure by creating a financial disincentive to utilizing the natural gas services. We also think that it's incorrect to make the legislature ban this utility from its ability to extend natural gas to new construction. We just passed a $4 billion housing package for affordable housing. And what's more affordable than to have dual fuel and to keep competition between those, or stress between those, to provide people options to control their own utility bills. It creates less choice for the consumers. Finally, one of the most important things is it removes language in the natural gas industry for the obligation to serve. While it's structured to protect maybe other natural gas utilities, now it threatens the idea that could move across all of our gas utilities. That obligation to serve says that when you provide a utility service like natural gas, like electricity, in a region that's protected for your utility, you are required to serve those services to your customers. And I think that's a really important point that we must keep in place. And finally, it threatens the industrial customers in this way. If you start decommissioning natural gas service systematically, it also means that that your industrial customers, that they're like Boeing, that has a brand new wing design that requires natural gas to run their autoclave, which saves tremendous amounts of aviation fuel because of this new design. They have 3 autoclaves. If you start decommissioning, it makes that service become threatened and maybe unavailable in the future to do the very technology that we want, more efficient aviation, which is a big emitter. And to have that wing design in production is absolutely critical to the state of Washington and the world. And finally, it allows a business plan that threatens to create a monopoly, and it also extends more extensive use of wind and solar, intermittent energy, as part of the portfolio of this utility, so that 1.2 million customers will be on an unstable energy supply, one that may or may not work. In the last 60 days in my region, where all of their windmills sit on our farm, those windmills have sat dead still, and we've been encapsulated in an inversion fog for those days, and less than 1% of the grid was served by renewable wind and solar. In the coldest part, when I drove home 2 weeks ago, it was minus 23, hanging around those very same windmills and covering the solar panels with frost. This is an insecure, unstable plan, Mr. Speaker, and it is something that has not been well thought through. And I would ask the legislature, and I would ask you, to re-evaluate this policy, to set it aside this year, and place the people who must purchase electricity, who want to keep their homes warm and affordable, first and foremost in our mind. Put the ratepayers first, just like the mandate of the UTC. Put that first, and then work the policy around that. This policy needs a rewrite. It needs to be redone. To pass this policy forward now, no matter what happens on the other side of the rotunda, I don't imagine this policy will get better, but I beg that they do think about these critical elements that are flawed in this policy. And I ask you, Mr. Speaker, to please join me in voting no and put this policy down. Thank you.